Thank you for the invitation to chat with you.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. I'm a long-time fan of yours, right back to the days of that very first band of yours. Are you happy to walk me through the days of Buffalo Springfield right up to the present day in this album?
I'll do it as quickly as I can on a Reader's Digest version. Yes, Stephen Stills and I met in New York City. We were in we were playing a little pass the basket to tourists that would come through town at a little club called Four Winds. That's where we met. And then a guy put a band together that was similar to the New Christy Minstrel Serendipity Singers. It was a group of 9, and we were in that. And when that group broke up, Stephen went off to California, and I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. I wanted to continue to play music, but I wanted to eat as well. So I got a job up at a factory in Connecticut called Pratt & Whitney Aircraft. And I had a cousin that was a high executive up there. They made aircraft engines. And he said, hey, I can hire you. You're going to stay around for the gold watch, though, right? That was one of the criteria that I had to. And I said, yeah, that's fine. And the thing that really changed me while I was up there, though, my good friend Graham Parsons brought the Byrds' very first record up to me to listen to. And when I heard that, I said, I got to get a hold of Stephen and find out what he's doing. And after I got in touch with him, he said, hey, I've got a band together in Los Angeles. All I need is another singer. Come on out. I said, I'll take care of my business and I'll be there. And I went out to California, and Stephen and I were the band. There was no band but me and him.
Oh.
So it was kind of a deal, but both of us had met Neil Young at different times in at little time frame.
Right.
And little did we know that Neil was in California trying to find Stephen at the time. And we didn't have much money, so we weren't traveling around. This was well before, cell phones and computers and what we're doing right now. And so we couldn't seem to hook up. And so Neil was on his way out of town, and we were driving the opposite direction on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles and got stuck in traffic right there where Neil was. And so, we stopped, we pulled into a little parking lot on the side of the street. Ben Frank's was the place.
I know it.
Started just talking about, maybe putting a band together. And so we went back to our little apartment, played some songs, and the band, Buffalo Springfield, got started.
Wow.
And we were 2 years. That was it. 3 albums, 2 years.
But an incredible legacy you've left with that band, because of course that first album you did included the single For What It's Worth.
Mm-hmm. Actually, the very first pressing of that did not have For What It's Worth on it. It had another song of Stephen's called Baby Don't Scold Me. And actually, Ahmet Ertegun, the president of Atlantic Records, had come out to Los Angeles to hear some new songs for a second album. And, I played some songs, Neil played some songs, Stephen played some songs. And as we were kind of packing up our instruments, I remember Stephen saying, I got another one, For What It's Worth. And that was it. Ahmet heard that and he said, that's a hit, man. We've got to do that. And so we went in and recorded it, and then it was reissued.
Amazing. Yeah. What do you think it was about that band, Buffalo Springfield, that was so unique, that really took the world by storm?
Well, we came from so many diverse backgrounds. There were actually 3 Canadians in the band, and just different backgrounds, but yet we were able to meld it together somehow. So that it became our own sound. And we were very original. We weren't the Beach Boys. We weren't the Turtles. We weren't Love. We weren't the Doors. We had our own sound. And it was so neat at that time because we were able to be ourselves. It was a time when you didn't have to be like, this group or that group or that group. You could experiment with your sound. And so, obviously, with the songwriters, Stephen and Neil and myself were songwriters, and obviously Neil was going ahead to prove himself as, a world renowned musician as well as Stephen. And, so there was definitely something there.
You haven't done too badly either, Richie Furay. I want to ask you though, before we go on, what about your boss at the aviation company? You promised him the golden handshake. Was he angry?
You know, he was my cousin. And so I think he was disappointed, but he understood, you know, I mean, we weren't real close, but I think that he did understand that I had this burning desire in my heart to be a musician. And when the opportunity arose, he was okay with it.
Had that always been there for you, Richie? Was that something that you always wanted to be?
Pretty much from a little kid. And I remember watching the Ozzie and Harriet television show. Are you familiar with it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And so, you know, I just was enamored with Ricky Nelson. And I remember one time in particular when he was standing over a baby crib playing Bebop Baby. And he got to the last verse, and the next thing they were at the high school gym auditorium with a full band. And it was like, I got to do it. That's what I got to do. So that was really the thing that put the bug in me that I only spent a year and the year and a half.
Oh, sorry, hang on a second, you froze. 1 second. Oh dear.
Me.
Sorry. Richie, could you just back up? You froze for a couple of seconds there. My internet went down. So sorry, you were saying you spent after you saw him, the clip went to him being in the high school gym.
Yeah, when the show just went from Ricky standing over this baby crib to him on the gym, you know, the auditorium at the high school with James Burton and Joe Osborne, and you know, it was like that was it. It just really, I got to do this. Yeah.
And you did. How awesome!
Yeah.
Did you expect, when you formed Buffalo Springfield and you made those first couple of albums, did you expect to hit this the sort of heights that you did? Did you know you had something special?
You know, we thought, okay, we've got something pretty special. But when we started playing, when we became the house band for about 6 weeks at the Whiskey A Go-Go, you know, no one was there. I mean, other than the local fans that were there all the time. But at the end of the 6 weeks that we were there were people that were wrapped around the block. So yeah, we kind of had a feeling that we're onto something here. We're not sure exactly what it is, but we're onto something.
It was very.
Birds, go ahead.
No, you go.
The Birds then, you know, took us on tour with them for a couple shows around the Southern California area. And here it was, man, you know, when Graham brought that Birds first record up to me, up to Pratt and Whitney, little did I know that these guys would become my friends. You know, David and Crosby and Roger McGuinn and Chris Hillman, whom I've worked with. You know, it was just like, but that's how it was in Los Angeles at the time. Everybody just kind of like, we were all like, it was just fun to be part of that Laurel Canyon groove.
Yeah. I mean, everybody says, you know, the good old days. Were they the good old days?
They were sure fun. It was a great time. It was a great time to be making music. There was so much happening. You know, and I mean, even coming out of down where you are, you know, with the Bee Gees and all, golly, it was great. It was just a fun time to be making music.
What's changed? Why is it so different today?
You know, every generation has their style of music. I remember when I went to New York, I think my mom looked at me like, what are you going to do there? You know, because she was, you know, Frank Sinatra and you know, and here we are, you know, now it's the Beatles and long hair. And so we had our era, and then, you know, it kind of moved into another era, and every era, you know, it just seems like it travels with whatever's happening in the culture at the time. And I have to admit, I'm an old guy now. And, you know, I don't understand a lot of the new music. And probably if I had one of my, you know, kids, although my daughter does play with me when I do live concerts now, but if it was somebody starting off in a band, you know, I think, you're going to do what?
Yeah, isn't it strange that everything old is new again? Because here's you with a new album, and all your contemporaries are bringing out music, and all the songs that you did 50 years ago are having a whole resurgence.
Yeah, they are. and it's kind of neat. Yeah, and making this new project, was really something that it came out of nowhere. Val Gray came to hear me at a benefit that I was doing for autism, and I recorded with Val. Val and I've been friends since Buffalo Springfield days, and we recorded one album together, I Still Have Dreams. And when he came and said, "Hey, you want to make another record?" I was like, "Wow, yeah, what you got in mind?" And then his idea really registered with me. Do some of these songs that have touched your heart, that are country songs, that were country hits, but let's give them your spin. And it was we went back and forth making the list out. And when we finally settled on 14 songs, we went to Nashville and started to record. And the product, I think it came out really good. I'm so happy with it.
Pretty good is an understatement. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's wonderful. Richie, you've always loved country music, haven't you? So I guess what you were trying to do here, and you've certainly succeeded, is putting country together with a rock and roll and that steel guitar in there as well, that gives it a whole new, fresh flavor and appeals to a much broader audience than pure country fans.
I think you really tapped into something. Yeah, and I have liked country music obviously, we started a genre when Buffalo Springfield broke up, along with the Byrds and along with the Flying Burrito Brothers. Poco started a genre of music that the Eagles have, they exploded with it, so we plowed the ground. We kind of turned up the soil, and then the Eagles ran with it, and they became huge. But I've always thought it was kind of like the most real music for me, from where I came from. It had the most real effect on my life.
Why did Buffalo Springfield break up after such a short time together?
There were 9 people in and out of the Springfield in 2 years. So it was like 1 step forward and 2 step back.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that Neil really, I'm not sure he really wanted to be in a band. I think he always wanted to be a solo artist. And then Bruce Palmer had issues, during the time where he was getting deported back and forth, from Canada. And so it was difficult. We just couldn't quite get a hold on going fast forward. We kind of, the best that I think the band ever was when we played at the Whiskey A Go-Go for those 6 weeks, just But I would have to say that was it. We just could, it was 2 steps, 1 step forward and 2 steps back. With
I hear you. I mean, and it's a band's synergy is so dependent upon the chemistry of its members, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because we tried other people. And obviously Jimmy Messina, who we recorded with, he became the last bass player, and he filled the bill, better than probably anyone could have, because Bruce was so unique in the way that he played. But Jimmy, no one else really fit in until the very end, when Jimmy took over.
Richie Furay, you went on then with Jim Messina to form Poco, also with Randy Meisner. That was also quite short-lived.
And you go through all this stuff in your mind. We're not going to let happen to us what happened to, this band or that band. We'd watch the Byrds and the Springfield and this and that and the other. But for some reason, it was very difficult to keep us together in the beginning. As much as I liked the original band, the band that I think I most identified with was when Paul Cotton took over Jimmy's place and Timothy B took over Randy's place. That was the band that I think I felt I identified the most with.
Right. I mean, but you certainly did some good work in Poco. What was your favorite track that you put out with them?
Oh boy, it would probably have to be the Good Feeling to Know album. That was the one, that I would probably say for me, for while I was in the band, that rang true. It was also the album and the song that it caused me to become disheartened with the band as well. Jimmy had left the band. We were looking for a producer, and we ended up with Jack Richardson, who was just a wonderful producer. We were looking for someone that was used to making hit records, I mean, he knew a hit song, or he knew, and we really thought that Good Feeling to Know was going to be the song that launched us over into the next level.
Right.
And, when it failed to do that, I kind of lost heart. And it's really a shame because, I want to say that, my whole desire was for the music, but then at the same time, you have this thing in the back. Well, man, this is what success is about. You got to be making a lot of money. You got to be playing these other places, and I got caught up in it.
Right. Was that part of what drove you towards Christianity?
No. I mean, what drove me to Christianity was that my wife and I, who had been married for 7 years, when Southern Human Furay got together, and we actually separated for 7 months. We've been married for 55 years now, so we have hung on.
Congratulations.
There was a time when we were had been married for 7 years that we separated for 7 months, and that was a difficult time. So that was really what I guess I had to reevaluate, from our circumstance. Why was this happening? Well, Nancy's dad died when she was like 7 years old. My dad died when I was 13, and she knew what it was like to be in a family where there was no, father figure. She and her mother just did it, and she didn't want us to be like that. I mean, she didn't want her life to be like that. And so it was a time when I had to do some real soul searching. What do I want to do, and what direction do I want to go? And of course, Chris had Al Perkins join the band, and Al Perkins was the guy that actually led me to the Lord. I didn't want Al in the band. He had a little fish sticker on his guitar that said "Jesus is Lord," and I said, I don't want him in the band. He's going to stop us from becoming rock and roll stars, And it ended up he ended up leading me to the Lord and became a good friend.
And you were able to marry the two, rock star and good wholesome Christian, weren't you? Because when you had the RICHiE FURAY band, which was a Christian-based group, you became a minister, you rejoined Poco, and you then had this comeback single called "Call It Love."
Yeah, we it's been quite a journey how all of that unfolded, and you're right. I thought when when I left Southern Human Furay and Nancy and I were separated, I thought my musical career was over. I mean, I just thought, I'm going to focus on my family, and I raised my hands, Lord, what will you have me to do? And the next thing I know, I was doing a little home Bible study, and the next thing after that, we became a church, and I pastored that church for 35 years. Wow. So there was a hiatus when I wasn't really playing a lot of music. It wasn't even a thought on my mind. And a friend of ours, mine, came to me and wanted to know if we had some songs for a worship album that they were doing. And, my buddy and I at the time, Scott, played some songs. And we've got enough for a whole album. And so we made In My Father's House. And then the next thing we made, I Am Sure. And then the next thing I knew, I had a guy, as Poco was doing a reunion, one of the songs we played was Let's Dance Tonight from Crazy Eyes album. Uh-huh. And he said, "Oh, that's my favorite song." And I said, "Well, if I ever get to record another, secular record or whatever, I want to redo that song." And sure enough, it came to pass, and that's when my Heartbeat of Love. I don't know if you've heard that record or not, but
yes, absolutely.
We re-recorded Let's Dance Tonight and went on from there. So, it's Sandy, it's been a journey. It's been a real journey. I'm so I'm happy with where everything is with me right now.
There'd be a good book in you, RICHiE FURAY. Is there one in the pipeline?
Say that again?
There'd be a good book in you.
I've got 2 out.
You've got 2 out already. That I didn't know.
Fact is, I didn't know. Here's one of them, Picking Up the Pieces. And here's the other one called For What It's Worth.
Awesome.
And I have actually 2 little books, 2 little stories. One of them, For What It's Worth, really talks about the Springfield journey, and Picking Up the Pieces really talks about more my personal journey. Yeah.
And people can buy those obviously from Amazon.
They can get them everywhere? On my website.
on your
they can get
website.
them on my website.
Okay. Oh, well, that's awesome. So you kept going and everything was going hunky-dory. How did Buffalo Springfield come to reunite themselves?
We tried a reunion in the 80s, and it was a train wreck. It was just like, oh my gosh, we tried 3 times getting together, and it just didn't happen. So time went on, and the next thing I knew, I got a note from Neil, and he said, would you like to do the bridge school concerts that he and his wife did at the time? And I said, well, yeah, man, I'd really love to. He said, well, I think Stephen would like to do it too. And, maybe we can just put together, the Springfield again, even though Bruce and Dewey had passed away. We got Joe Vitale, and a great drummer and just a great guy. And Rick Ross to be a part of the band. And so that's how that reunion, and that reunion fit like a glove.
Did it?
Yeah, it was just there wasn't hardly any effort at all. Where back in the 80s when we tried it, I guess everybody was just too much into what they were doing at the time. Like I said, it was a train wreck. But then when we tried it again, it was just, it was like we hadn't played together for 40 years, yet at the same time, bingo. It was just
amazing. So was there any talk of continuing, of doing further tours as Buffalo Springfield again?
Yeah, there was. And after, we were looking to and told that after we did Bonnaroo, that we would do another, I think like a 30-day tour. And, it was interesting. After we did 6 shows, in up around San Francisco and in Santa Barbara and Los Angeles, and then we did Bonnaroo. After all of the shows that we did in California, we'd all get together after the shows and just talk and everything and kind of unwind together. At Bonnaroo, never saw anybody again. Everybody got on their bus and just took off. And so that was probably the end of it right there.
Just like that.
Yeah.
No explanation, no goodbyes, no nothing.
No, I got a call from Neil, shortly thereafter, and said, well, maybe, one of these days we'll go and we'll try and do this again, or do something like this again. But that was it. And you know what? It was good. It was fun. I don't look back on it and say, hey, golly, that was a real drag that we didn't play those 30 shows. I think I wanted to and would have liked to have. But you know what? It's just the way things turned out.
Yeah, I guess there's a lesson in that too, isn't it? No matter what your expectations are or your hopes or desires, if it doesn't happen, just let it go and move forward.
Hey, yep, you got to. It's like at that point in time in my life, and I think in everybody else's, we're pretty much, just we got our own little thing that we do, and right back at it.
Yeah. Well, your thing that you do is just awesome. The latest album's called In the Country. It's coming out July 8. And as we mentioned earlier, it's a collection of country songs done with the RICHiE FURAY touch. Walk us through a couple of them. The first single and the lead track, Somebody Like You, which is a Keith Urban track.
There you go.
Tell us about that. Yeah. I mean, the process of choosing which tracks to use on this album must have been quite arduous.
Well, it was. Val made a list. His musical partner made a list, and I made a list. And when the first song on Val's list was the first song on my list that I had thought, if I ever get a chance to do another record again, I really want to record this song. It was a song by John Barry called Your Love Amazes Me. And Val had that on his list up top, and I had it on mine. And I said, yeah, we can do this. And so then, we just sorted it out. I think between the 14 songs that we did record, probably I'd say 3/4 of them were songs that I had really wanted to do. And then Val, he made these suggestions for this one and that one, and said, well, yeah, let's try that. Do that.
What did you admire most about that one?
Somebody Like You. Oh, you know what? number one, Keith Urban is the real deal. I mean, this guy, he's a performer. He can play his instrument like nobody else. And but the song, going back to the song, it's just one of those fresh songs. I want to have the sun shining down on me, and I mean, and it just has such a great feeling to it, it's fresh. And I hope that, again, we didn't do it like him. We didn't put the banjo in it and all that. We just made it our own and took the track and just made it what I would do, and it feels like a song that maybe I would have written. I wish I had. But
yeah,
I think it's the freshness of it and what it has to say, I mean, it's just a good, wholesome song.
Yeah. Do you have an absolute favorite on the album? Your personal favorite?
Do. I mean, one of them, I think that I have to look back and say is my favorite is Written in Chalk, or they call it just Chalk now. It was a song by Julie Miller wrote it, and Buddy and Julie Miller. And somebody posted on social media at one time the song. And when I heard the song, I couldn't quit listening to it over and over and over and over. So it was another song that I thought, if I ever get to make another project record, I want to record that. And it just so happens that we did. There were some other songs that I really like too. I liked Walking in Memphis.
I wanted to say that. I think your version is better than Mark's version.
Well, here's the thing, Sandy. I hope that people will listen to it and they will just accept it for what it is. I don't want comparisons. When we did Leanne Womack's I Hope You Dance, Steve Nathan played the keyboards, and he comes out after the session, and says, I played on the original of that. And I love that. But I hope that people won't say, oh, golly, I hope they just listen to it and hear these songs, because I think they're so fresh now. And once again, all of them, I want to use that word. And I hope Mark likes what we did, because everybody and their brother has recorded. I didn't know when I suggested it to Val that how many people have recorded that song. I should have known, but I didn't.
Oh, I still don't. Have there been a lot?
Oh, there's been just a lot of folks have recorded it.
Great song.
And I think we did a good job on it.
Very happy. I couldn't agree more. And the other one that I really like, and I was never a John Denver fan, is Take Me Home Country Roads. I think your version of that is just wonderful.
Thank you. See, that was Val's idea, because I missed John Denver when John Denver was the big happening. When he got inducted into the Colorado Music Hall of Fame, I was asked to do a song, and so I did what's that song? Wild Montana Skies. I was singing it in Colorado here. But then I started listening to his music a lot, and I really got into John Denver. But Country Roads wasn't, it was a great song, and I did like that song, but it wasn't a song that I thought I wanted to do. But Val said, let's give that one a try. And boy, when we did, it came out really good. Yeah,
you do it really well. How could you have missed John Denver? John Denver was everywhere.
I was just so into what I was doing. And it seemed like, he was over here doing this and by missing, I was kind of preoccupied with what I was doing at the time. That's how.
Got it. Richie Furay, which song would you like our audience to hear to take us out?
Oh, let me see here. Well, how about Walking in Memphis? Or how about either that or Somebody Like You, because that one will be probably very familiar to y'all down there.
Absolutely. Richie, congratulations on the album. It's just fabulous.
Thanks,
and thank you so much for talking with me today. I've really enjoyed meeting you, and can't wait for the next bunch of music that you put out too.
Well, let's see what happens. This old boy's getting on, so let's see.
Oh, no, don't say that. The older you get, the better you get, no doubt.
This project was a lot of fun, so hope to see you down there one of these days.